At least 6 Syrian Democratic Forces fighters have been killed in a drone strike on a base housing US troops in eastern Syria, following a series of US retaliatory strikes over the weekend against Iran-backed militia. Turkish President Erdoğan has been slammed by the opposition over remarking that lack of cooperation between central and local administrations will continue to leave the earthquake-struck province of Hatay without sufficient aid. The Kurdistan Democratic Party and the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan, two major Iraqi Kurdish parties, reached a consensus on appointing a Kurdish governor for Kirkuk at a significant meeting on Sunday. A Yazidi woman has been freed from ISIS captivity in northern Syria's Al-Hol camp during an operation led by the Women's Protection Units, also known as the YPJ. Learn more with Media News. A drone strike has targeted a Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, training academy at a base housing US troops in eastern Syria, killing at least 6 SDF fighters. The drone attack, identified as coming from areas controlled by factions allied to the Syrian regime, took place shortly after midnight on Sunday into Monday at the Al Omar oilfield base, one of the largest American military bases in the eastern countryside of Deir ez-Zor. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a UK-based war monitor, reported a higher toll from the strike, saying at least 7 SDF fighters had been killed and 18 others wounded, some critically. No US troops were reportedly injured. Following the strike, the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, an umbrella group of Iranian-backed Iraqi militia, released a video claiming responsibility for the attack and documenting the launch of the drone. In an updated statement, the SDF has confirmed that Iranian-backed militia were behind the attack. The Iranian-backed militia used the Syrian regime-controlled areas in Deir ez-Zor as a staging ground for the terrorist attack that targeted our commando academy and resulted in the martyrdom of 6 of our commando fighters, the SDF stated. Turkish President Erdoğan has hinted that a lack of cooperation between central and local administrations in Hatay during the aftermath of last year's February earthquakes has left the province in a state of desolation. The president's comments come ahead of the country's local elections during a campaign visit to Hatay, one of the provinces that suffered the most and received the least aid. Erdoğan's speech just prior to the first anniversary of the devastating earthquakes sparked controversy and drew criticism from the opposition.
Merkezi yönetimle yerel yönetim el ele vermezse, dayanışma halinde olmazsa o şehre herhangi bir şey gelmez. Hatay'a geldi mi? Bak şu anda Hatay garip kaldı. Hatay masum kaldı.
In the days after the earthquake, Hatay had no access to relief supplies for earthquake victims. A very limited number of search and rescue teams reached Hatay during the critical first 48 hours after the 6th of February earthquake struck southern and southeastern Turkey and northern Syria. The two major Iraqi Kurdish parties have reached a consensus on appointing a Kurdish governor for Kirkuk, highlighting the need for a united front in safeguarding the Kurdistan region's achievements and stability. Earlier this morning, a high-level delegation from the Kurdistan Democratic Party was greeted in Sulaymaniyah by Patriotic Union of Kurdistan President Bafel Talabani, setting the stage for significant discussions on the political and economic landscape of the Kurdistan region. The meeting focused on addressing unresolved matters within the Iraqi federal government, particularly concerning the budget, livelihoods and public sector worker salaries, and placed an emphasis on the collaborative spirit between the two major Kurdish parties. Both parties agreed on the necessity of appointing a Kurdish governor for Kirkuk province in order to serve its diverse communities. The consensus comes amid heightened scrutiny of the Kurdistan Democratic Party's interactions with Turkey. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has also threatened the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan for failing to heed Turkey's demands to cut alleged support for PKK operatives in Sulaymaniyah. Fidan said that Ankara was ready to take further measures if the Patriotic Union continued its current stance on the PKK, such as failure to prevent the PKK from accessing infrastructure in the Sulaimaniye province. The Women's Protection Units, or YPJ, have liberated a Yazidi woman from ISIS captivity in Al-Hol camp during a joint operation with security forces from the autonomous regions of Syria. The Yazidi woman, identified as Kovan Aidi Koto, is originally from the village of Hardan in the Sinjar region of northern Iraq and had been held captive by ISIS for 10 years. Kovan was one of thousands of Yazidi girls and women abducted by ISIS during the Sinjar massacre in August 2014, which targeted the Yazidi religious minority. ISIS kidnapped over 5,000 Yazidi women from Sinjar in 2014. Many were subsequently sold on slave markets in Syria and Iraq. Kurdish forces have been actively working to free Yazidi women from ISIS captivity. Located near the Iraqi-Syrian border, Al-Hol camp is home to more than 50,000 residents, mostly women and children, many of them relatives of captured ISIS fighters. The camp's dire conditions, coupled with significant ISIS presence, have made it a breeding ground for the extremist ideology. The autonomous administration in north and east Syria and its security forces in recent years have faced challenges countering the threat of ISIS in Al-Hol.